Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Dave, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we challenge each other. Jeez, I've done it again.
What did you do?
I've forgotten what the fuck I'm supposed to say.
Wait, that was pretty good, though. I thought you were doing really great. We challenged one another.
We challenged one another, and then that was it. It just went. It went. To discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye. See, that was all I had to say.
That's it.
That was all I had to say.
Let me just go ahead and break this down for our listeners. We are a positive criticism podcast, or at least we try really hard to be, and that is the challenge. We challenge each other to keep it positive when talking about movies, new or old. In this case, new, right? Mm-hmm. So anytime we say anything negative, you're going to hear this sound. That means John is getting kicked in the shin by God.
Yeah, John is not with us. John is not with us. Apparently, things like, going to weddings and homework and life are more important than this podcast.
Yeah, what an asshole.
Yeah, jeez. I tell you.
Happy wedding, Callie and Kale.
Yeah.
Listeners of the pod. All right, so have a beer, sit back, relax, and let's have some fun. Please don't drink while driving. Otherwise, you're good to drink along with us.
Yeah, if you're on the subway, just brown bag it. Yeah.
Yeah, they have other things to think about on the subway. Okay, people, we're talking about Eternals today. If you're new to the show, we try to keep it spoiler free for about 10 minutes. So if you haven't seen this film yet, and you're thinking about maybe should you see it, we're going to try to just give you a little 10 minutes or so. We'll also give you a little shop about the first weekend after it's closed, so you can get some context and whether or not you want to see the film. But first of all, we got to shout out our sponsors. Carlos Barroso is our beer sponsor. You can check the episode notes here to find his Instagram account, Carlos Barroso. All right, and then our SoundCloud. Wow,
we're going.
Music.
It's going well. It's going.
Fuck
We've
John.
We've done 100 episodes.
That's right. This is 101 now. This is 101. This is like the team when they clinch the playoffs in baseball and they just get drunk.
It's the ultimate choke.
Yep. Yeah. So, the artist known as Dasein, Dasein. You can find all of our music that you hear on this show for free on soundcloud.com/Dasein-artist. All right.
Yeah, I should point out, we've never really pointed out, some of these tracks run for like an hour. They're like the ultimate chill out. So
Yeah. If your film is not planning on making any money and you want to consider using it, reach out. I bet you they'd be honored. The artist known as Dasein. All right, let's get into this, Dave. You ready to talk about Eternals?
I'm ready to talk about Eternals. I've been waiting a while for this.
All right. Can I set this up a little bit though? Because we've had a couple not the MCU-ness of this yet, but we've had a couple movies come out recently, and this is one of them, where critics tried to set the narratives before it happened, as if this is the fucking Super Bowl, right? It's just a movie. So before this movie came out, you had mentioned last time that IMDb had to shut it down because people who clearly hadn't seen the movie were rating it really poorly, and it was probably because of a half a second gay kiss that's in the background of a scene.
Yeah, no, it's right in the foreground, but no, it's like, but still, like, really?
Yeah.
Like that, you got nothing better to do with your time than try to cancel some people. You did nothing, really.
So you had that, and then you had it's the lowest ever Rotten Tomato score among an MCU film.
Isn't that just from critics though?
And that's from critics, yeah, because the audience score is
I think it's sitting around 86, I think.
Yes, that's where it is right here, 86. So, asshole critics, of course, and a lot of them, again, like first viewing, a lot of the reviews are just, you can almost tell that they phoned it in. Like, it just doesn't seem nice. Dave, you want to set up your thing that we're going to do?
Oh, we're going to do a little something special. We got an extra segment we're going to start doing called Review the Reviewer. So,
yes,
sometime later in the week, you're going to get a special short episode where we're going to talk about the review that this was given, in particular, in this case, by the New York Post. And we're going to review his review.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fucking New York. First of all, fuck the New York Post. But okay, let's get into this.
I'm not buzzing that.
I buzzed myself. Okay. I know a lot of you want us to get into the discussion of this film, but I do think it's important to mention that this low tomatoes score of 48%, the lowest ever, it's getting a lot of shit. And I watched a Variety video with Variety writers. Variety's supposed to be a really big publication, where they immediately went like, is it sexism? is it that they had just higher hopes for her because Chloe Zhao, the director of this film, just won a bunch of Oscars and they think she's selling out. And they started drawing in all of these storylines like crazy. They got so specific. Variety, I'm calling you out. They got so specific that they said if this made less than $70 million, that it was a travesty. Because the lowest ever opening weekend gross was Ant-Man, which was I think 56 million in their opening weekend, which would be the lowest MCU. So I think they were predicting this to be the second lowest opening. First of all, it's still post-COVID, but like they were literally saying if it's under 70, but if it's over 70, it's fine. These douchebags. And instead, it made $71 million and is the fourth highest opening of the entire year.
Marvel pretty much has all four now.
It's Venom, I think it's Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and then Shang-Chi, yeah.
Might be the other way around. I think Black Widow might be under Shang-Chi.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Because the Asian Americans represented when that came out.
They fucking came out. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, cool. And so that's the other element of this too, is that these characters not a lot of us know yet, which is why we're going to get into the discussion.
Also, really diverse cast.
Incredibly diverse cast. That's the thing too. They're sitting there like they're going to be really hard on this movie because of blah blah blah. I was like, I'm so surprised that they're not in support of this, because rather than it just be like the white savior syndrome, which is a lot of what the Marvel characters, are at their core, this is something completely different. And so I thought it would be refreshing. And these critics fucking came out swinging. So I thought I was going to talk more about this, but instead I just wanted to vent against critics.
Yeah, we'll save that for the special episode. That's coming sometime soon.
Yeah. Okay, so $171 million worldwide so far. Fuck the critic scores. It's doing pretty well, and I think this mythology is going to be here to stay.
Yeah, this is going to have some lasting repercussions in this phase, I can tell you. But also, despite reviewers savaging it, I just want to say it still took me 3 days to find a decent seat in an IMAX theater.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I went on Thursday.
I
went on Thursday night, and I'll admit I had to sit in the handicap seats in the back, which I was allowed to do because I bought it last minute, and they said we'll just kick you out if there's somebody, because that's how packed my theater was.
Wow. Yeah, no, I got like the last center seat in G-Row at Lincoln Center IMAX. I just want to say Lincoln Center AMC, hands down the best IMAX screen in my region. Like, my God, the difference in seeing an IMAX in anywhere else is ridiculous. And they don't even sponsor us yet.
we mention them every single week. Oh my God. All right, well, let's get into our setup for Eternals. Here we go. So very, very, very diverse cast, a lot of characters coming in, many of whom you probably don't know much about. So we'll try our best to ease you in if you are unfamiliar with the territory. So sorry.
Wow.
That was such a big
pregame?
No. I just had a couple big gulps while I was ranting at these critics. Okay. So let me set up the cast first, because I think that's a really good selling point. So you have A-plus stars, Angelina Jolie as Athena and Salma Hayek as Ajax. And then you have cusper A stars, people that are right on that cusp. You have Gemma Chan, who you may know from Crazy Rich Asians.
Also, big props to Gemma Chan. 2 Marvel characters now. Because she was also Minerva in Captain...
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Captain Marvel.
Minerva, yeah. You have Richard Madden, who you may know from Game of Thrones. You have Kit Harington, who you may know from Game of Thrones. So let me stop there and say you have Kit Harington, you have 2 Kings of the North, and a character named Cersei. Yeah, so any Game of Thrones fan, if you haven't seen this, get the fuck, come on. Kumail Nanjiani as Kingo. Leah McHugh, you may not know yet as Sprite, but you probably will know her soon after this performance. Oh, yeah. Brian Tyree Henry, you may know from Atlanta and a lot of other things. He was Phastos, and he's going to be around for a while. Barry Keoghan, which we saw him in The Green Knight, but he's been in a couple of things as well as Druig. And then Madong Seuk, you probably recognize him as well. Lauren Ridloff, one of the great non-speaking stars who, primarily communicates with ASL in this and Sound of Metal and other films. She's fucking awesome in this. And then Bill Skarsgård decides he never wants to show his face. So he is in, he is costumed and CGI'd as such, because his attractive face never wants to be seen in the light of day unless it's the right project. So anyway, that's the cast. Chloe Zhao, 2-time Oscar winner, both for Nomadland, in a movie which, I don't know if you knew this, Dave, this has more CGI than her previous 3 films combined, and bigger budgets than the 3 previous films combined. All right, so here we go.
I mean, I watched Nomadland top to tail. Yeah, no, really? The only special effects they had was they're controlling the sun. Like, that was it.
Right, when you mentioned that, I thought that was super cool that you picked up on that. Okay, the setup on IMDb, the short description of what Eternals is about, the plot, is the saga of the Eternals, a race of immortal beings who lived on Earth and shaped its history and civilizations.
That's kind of accurate.
Yeah.
There's a lot more, but it's kind of accurate.
It's a lot more. Well, they open with the Star Wars, like, so here's what the story is in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, that is one thing I must say that rubbed me a little wrong way about this. Like, I don't know if text scrolls work now in like the 2020s.
I was curious about your take on it because I don't remember them.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, what's wrong with me today? I don't remember them in the other films, so I was wondering what you thought about the text.
Well, I did like the change up of the formula a little bit because you don't get the Marvel logo at the beginning like you normally do. You get like this text scroll explaining the same stuff that they then explain in the film straight after. But
you're right, they explain it. Wait, I hit the wrong button, but you got it. Oops, sorry. There it is. It came in late. That's super easy.
Anyway, yeah, I don't think that text scroll could have disappeared for me. And I mean, I know they're spelling it out for people who might not like be as invested and might need some help to get it. And I'm guessing some executive went, we really need to explain this a little bit. I don't think that was the original idea to put that there, to be honest.
Yeah.
But then they go through like the whole opening. It's almost like a Bond film. You go through like an opening and a first fight, and then you get the Marvel logo.
That was cool, actually. I really
I
liked
dug that.
The Marvel logo.
I was like, they're not going to do it, and then they did, and it was the brand new one too. Shang-Chi's in that logo.
Yes, yeah. And actually, I love how the logo starts kind of quiet too.
Yeah,
like it doesn't just like. So I thought it was really, 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 really cool. Okay, cool. So I actually agree, and I actually think that not having the title scroll is probably better than having the title scroll, because the title scroll was not only confusing, but it was kind of like, oh fuck, what am I getting myself into? Like as soon as they started doing it, like I almost wish I just sort of got swept away.
Why didn't I bring a notepad to this one?
I mean, okay, well, we don't want to get it. Yeah, exactly. He's ripping on me, friends. So I'm gonna bust it for that. Okay, cool. So the Eternals, we find out pretty early on, are sent by essentially a godlike being, but just sort of looks like a robot in the sky.
Be very careful of crossing spoiler territories here.
Correct. Well, no, for sure. But they say this in the beginning, that there are celestials who are essentially born of planets near the sun. So the sun heats up the planet, and then celestials are born of the planet, and then the celestials now have the ability to bring and make new life, I believe.
Yes.
So obviously a play on God.
They build the planets. Yes.
Pretty funny that all the Christians love
they're
this
kind of
movie.
like they're kind of like God's Santa elves.
God's
but
Santa elves.
Huge.
Interesting. I was thinking of Kurt Russell from Guardians.
Well,
2,
he's one of them.
I see. So it is connected.
Yes.
So there is that connection. So
Ego is a celestial. There's like 20 of them.
And this is why, because this stuff is confusing. When they're spelling this out, it's like, do I not know any of this? Like, am I starting from scratch?
I mean,
but what they should say is, remember Kurt Russell?
Yeah.
This is sort of like that.
It's remember that? Remember when they got the Phoenix Force and ripped Wolverine a new one? Yeah, that's another celestial as well. So we've met two of them technically, although Phoenix Force hasn't featured in MCU itself yet.
Yes.
Yet.
So, why did they make the Deviants? What was the point of that?
The Deviants were there to wipe out the existing population because Prime Directive not really a big thing. It's like weird. It's like let's get rid of the. No, it was to get rid of the basically all the other predators that would wipe out the intelligent life, and they wanted to keep the intelligent life and just wipe out the predators that would damage them. But then it all went horribly wrong.
Yeah, we'll stop there for a second, but let's just go ahead and say that this is part of the reason that I went and rewatched The Matrix this past week, where human beings became batteries for future life to live in this simulation so that they could produce energy for the people that were left on Earth. Essentially, what they're suggesting is for the Celestials to be born, they need life to create energy on these planets to essentially fuel the existence of the future Celestials. And then they'll wipe the fucking planet out with all the intelligent life. Okay, cool. So that's the setup. That has nothing to do with this movie until it does. And let's just go to initial takeaways. What are your initial takeaways? Because the confusing element of this, I think, is the reason the reviews are a little iffy and everything. Even though it's totally digestible, it's like I wish it was just Wolverine with some shit coming out of his hand slash some shit up. I feel like that's what the reviewers were saying.
That's the point I'm about to make, which is I think I know why everyone's confused about this, because you have a director who loves to tell human stories and have you relate to the characters. And a lot of people go to a Marvel movie for the visual spectacle, the puns, and the action sequences. Like they're not looking to get too deep into, like, you get a little bit of Captain America's history, you get a little bit of Iron Man's history, but like Iron Man drops a quip and gets in a suit and goes and blows some shit up. Like, and that's the Marvel formula. This is not the Marvel formula. You sit there for about an hour and a half, maybe an hour, and you get to know these people so that when it all comes to a head, there's real stakes and there's real consequence, and you understand why they're doing what they're doing and stuff like that. So it's a level of to be honest, if you aren't that into Marvel films, this might be a great entry one for you. If you could walk away going, oh, these Marvel films don't really do anything for me because it's just a lot of explosions and noise, this is the one to see.
I think so too. Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll take it from there. My initial reaction was there were some parts where I was like, what is going on? I am a little confused by this, but it is an introduction of sorts to this. And I'm not going to get into spoilers, but what I will say is I think the overall point of this story would do really well in a single one-off isolated film. And I think that making everything connected to the not necessarily just the MCU, but having a future for this mythology, I think if they went all in on this one film and did a Rogue One, not that everybody dies at the end necessarily, but just that it's very clearly this is the story, and at the end of this film, that's the story. I think that it could have been better. We'll get into that when we get to the spoiler territory.
It's funny that you brought up Rogue One, because I would equate this to Rian Johnson's Star Wars film.
You would equate to Rian Johnson.
Because he broke the mold and he did stuff that the fans weren't expecting, and the fans walked away going, no, that's not what I normally get. And I think some people just can't handle that.
Interesting. I'm going to see you. I like this point because I mentioned Rogue One in the sense that I wish it was a one-off, because there's very clearly global warming implications to this. A little bit, yeah. I know we're not really in spoiler territory yet, but I think that's just, if you've listened to our setup with the Celestials and the heating the planet and stuff, there's global warming implications. And I sort of wish they went all in on this and then moved on or whatever. But because the characters became so rooted to Earth and everything, and the MCU connections, it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. They weren't able to have that climactic conclusion to the story, which is fine. I'm not complaining about it.
This was definitely a setup.
But your point is, I was entertained. But I was entertained. Yeah. I was 100% entertained, and not only was I entertained, I was really rooting for these characters. I was really invested in their stories, their relationships, their personal.
So that's a great film, but not necessarily a great Marvel film.
I think that's the conversation to have, though, right? That's the one. It's
like, do you not like it because it was bad, or do you not like it because it didn't give you what you were expecting?
Yeah. And again, I liked it. And I'm not going to say it could have been better, but I know one thing that would have made me leave the theater with like that, that feeling that I got after Rogue One is like, even though everybody died in Rogue One, and obviously that wasn't going to happen here. Okay, cool. So I think both of us are giving this the thumbs up.
I would definitely say, especially if you aren't into Marvel films. Yeah.
I think so too. And you're right, how grounded these stories are. Actually, it had some Star Trek-y elements too with that cold open, where you have these these immortal beings that are saving people that are simple from shit that is way beyond their capacity.
They were set up to go galactic, pretty much from Spider-Man. Once we got Spider-Man Far From Home, like the after credit scene there, literally shows the introduction of like the spacecraft that S.H.I.E.L.D. gets. So, like, we're set to go galactic. There's going to be galactic antics all through this phase.
The one thing that this doesn't do, though, is it doesn't seemingly set up multiverse, which seems to be where Marvel is headed.
It doesn't.
This is more Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's like, it could be space adventure. It could be, but everybody has their own planet and their own home that they're rooted to, which in this case, for a lot of them, is Earth. but it doesn't indicate that they exist in a multiverse.
It doesn't.
Of course, they still could.
But again, the multiverse has literally just been set.
Yeah, but they knew it was happening when they were making this
They
movie,
did.
though.
But again, it's an origin story for some prominent characters who are going to feature prominently in this phase. Not necessarily in the multiverse element, but it's certainly in the galactic element, because we're not just talking just multiverse. Like, you can't just do multiverse. Everyone's going to get tired of that real fast. So I feel like they've set up 2 streams, and which characters bounce into which streams is going to be very interesting, because you're going to get Strange going full multiverse, Spider-Man's going full multiverse, but then
Venom is
and then you've got all the rest of the characters, like the leftover Avengers, the new Avengers. Scarlet Witch is kind of touching on multiverse a little bit. She's going to do that as well. But for instance, where's White Vision right now? Mm-hmm. What's he doing? Mm-hmm. And there's a whole slew of other characters that they're training up. Hawkeye's coming out around Christmas. That's not
and Hawkeye's very much rooted to this planet. So, yeah, I love that. Okay, cool. Well, before I send everybody off, you want to shout out an actor or performance really quick before our friends?
I mean,
and we can come back to them when we get to our discussion.
I love Gemma Chan and anything. I watched all of...
She was fucking awesome in this.
Was it Humans? The series?
Yes. She was in the Humans. Yeah, I've never seen that
watched
series,
it top to tail. She was great the whole way through it. I want to say... I mean, everyone in it was really, really good. I feel like Kumail could have played it a little more serious, but when he went serious, he did. But I did like him.
I'm gonna give you a mini buzz. No, it's just it was like a little half buzz. Because I agree.
I'm gonna buzz myself because, to be honest,
we'll come back to the negative stuff. Let's keep it positive before we send the people away.
I've just thought about it, and it's when he gets serious, the shit's really hit the fan.
He's good at that, man. He really is good at that.
I feel like I didn't realize that till just now, till I said it out loud. So right. Yeah, he's also great. I wanted, I think I got what I wanted from everyone there.
We'll shout out all these people because I think they all did an amazing job. I want to shout out Lauren Ridloff, who's Makari. She's the one who's signing for the majority of this film. And
we're going to see more of her.
She's super speed, right? So she's kind of like the Flash and Nightcrawler combined. But she really was just this. She's this emotional power. In Sound of Metal, she has a 30-second scene, but it's you can tell that this person knows what they really know. They know how to communicate really fucking well. It's really brilliant. And then Sprite, who's Leah McHugh, who we have never really seen before. She's awesome. And out of the megastars, if you want a name of the megastars, Angelina Jolie was really playing with some complex shit.
Yeah.
It was really it was introspective in a way that a megastar, they usually have these big, powerful, robust roles. And I haven't seen her in anything in a while, and I thought she really handled the
she was great.
Of that really well. And Gemma Chan, just really quick, in Crazy Rich Asians, she's the wife of the other wealthy cousin that is in the unhappy marriage, if you remember. She's not the main.
I've actually never seen it.
Constance Wu. That's okay. I've seen it twice. It's good. But she has this emotional depth that I think is really necessary because it's fun and wealth and all this stuff. And she shows the unhappiness that comes with having too much. You know what I mean? And she really carries that burden kind of by herself. And I thought she's fucking awesome in it. So Gemma Chan, come on, A-list star. Let's go. Let's get into the spoiler section. You ready to rock,
let's
Dave?
Bring it on. It's spoiler time. So, if you have not seen this and you don't want stuff spoiled, and there is some stuff to spoil, because we have by no means discussed everything that goes on in this film at this point, turn off now, go see it, come back to us afterwards. I don't want to ruin this for you. This is it's too good to ruin what happens. So,
Dad, turn the lawnmower off.
Get off the treadmill, go over and stop this.
Yeah.
You don't want to get grounded again, do you?
The treadmill, good memory, Dave. You're right. He was on the
I remember everything you say. I have it all recorded.
Fuck, that's weird. Okay, here we go. You do have catalogs of all of our songs. Episode 101, people. Okay, here we go. There's a lot of different places that we could go here. Do you have a direction that you would like to take?
A couple of things that came out today, apparently, in the overseas releases, some of the foreign country releases, they're cutting out the sex scene. Because there is a sex scene for the first time ever in a Marvel movie. And
Why are they fucking doing it? The
No.
whole point of this is that it's
No.
different.
You know
And
what?
it's not even sex. You
know
don't
what?
see it.
Great. I'm all for it. That whole scene could have been left out, and like the wedding that happened straight after it was all you need to do. I don't know why that was in there. It had no basis at all in the story. And actually, one of my friends who does listen to this podcast occasionally took his young nephew to see it, and because it's PG, and he's sitting there in the theater with his nephew, and all of a sudden they're on a rock going for it, and he's like, "Okay, put my hand over your eyes," and they're sitting there, and apparently this kid yells out in the middle of the theater, "Are they finished yet?" And everybody lost their mind.
What? What? Oh my god!
I wanted to be in
lost
that
my
theater.
mind.
I was so mad when he
wanted to
told
be
me
in
that.
that theater.
I said,
Okay.
"I'm stealing that. I'm telling that story tonight."
You're talking me into it because now that I'm thinking about it, I actually
It was unnecessary.
this is not a slight of the film, but there were a couple times where they wanted the movie to be something, whether it's more adult, more like even honestly even the gay kiss. Yes, it's great for Brian.
no
Tyree
problem at all with
Henry's
that
character. And I had no problem with it too. Any kiss, really. It's not just about that, but they clearly were like, we want to put this fucking thing in there. But it didn't come out of like a crazy moment. It just came out of like this kind of departing and the normal things that you would do. But again, they clearly wanted this film to be a little bit more adult, a little more something, and they didn't really know how to navigate that. I think. Well,
I don't know. It just felt like like at the risk of bad terminology, an insert. It just felt like it was just kind of stuck in there.
I'm gonna give you this. It's stuck in there. You can't double down on the terminology. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
no, it was that was pointless to me. But in saying that was it. Everything else absolutely served its purpose. Everything else made me compelled to keep watching these characters.
Okay, well, I'm gonna challenge you. And I'm saying this positively because truly, I think the performances did really, really well. And I'm one of those. I'm one of the believers that it's very difficult to have a great acting performance when the substance isn't there, either on the page or behind the camera, in forms of the director and the cinematographer. So if the actors were really shining and you really were like, I love that character, I related to them, whatever, that usually means that it was well done. But here's something. There are a lot of characters here that we don't know.
A lot of characters.
Or at least most people don't know. And a lot of them are oddly similar to other characters. A lot of them from X-Men or even from DCU or other Marvel characters. So I have a list here. Let's see what you think. I have Icarus is obviously Cyclops, but with Magneto's flying abilities.
So that's two characters.
And a little bit extra super strength. Okay. So Cersei is Jean Grey. Ajax is Professor X.
Jean Grey,
for the most part.
I mean, she can manipulate matter, but Jean Grey is a whole other thing. You can't really compare her to that.
Okay. I'm just saying. Athena is Wonder Woman. Kingo is Pyro. Sprite is tricky. I don't have much for Sprite. So Sprite is... Well,
Sprite's
I'll give
Loki.
Sprite Sprite's Loki. That's fucking good. That's fucking good. Wait, now you're on
No,
my team
I
here.
just wanted to give you the comparison you were missing in your half-assed argument.
Makari... Yeah, you're right. I just finished Loki because I was behind on it too. Makari is Flash, but with a little Nightcrawler in there as well.
There's
Druig is like
a reference in the
young
comics
Professor
somewhere
X.
where she accidentally raced Barry Allen. Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. And I'm not hating on this. Druig is young Professor X because he manipulates everybody. It's like if young Professor X went Magneto's way because he's doing mind control for his own benefit. And then Gilgamesh is Colossus. So you have a lot of characters that seem like other characters, and then they're thrown into this mythology, which goes back to my one-off thing. It's like, do we really need... But anyway, what's your counter to the fact that this is just like rehash for this particular purpose?
I feel like this is they're a team, and like this is a major spoiler that I'm about to drop. So if you haven't already tuned out and you don't want to know, really go now.
Sorry.
But like they were created for a purpose, so that they were each given unique powers to serve that purpose, and they're essentially like living robots. And for me, that was enough of a differentiation. The fact that it was exposed that like these guys are not only created and built, once I realized that, I absolutely loved the way the technology worked with the gold that comes out of them and creates what they're doing. in a very Green Lantern way, if you want to go there. But like once I realized what they were, and then it got revealed that they're actually the fucking bad guys. And I was like, it starts off like on surface, yes. But if if you've seen the whole film and you're not just picking apart what everyone else has written on the internet instead of writing a review, then no, they're absolutely their own independent characters. Like they have powers from other things, but I mean, Cyclops is Superman. He has heat vision. Like everyone was ripping off everyone else's characters back then. It's like there's going to be similarities. There's only so many fucking powers you can have. Sure. And these ones are based in a different technology. They're based in like alien tech rather than actually like metahumans or mutants or anything like that.
Do you think they're going to do well now that Earth has been saved from the Celestial, which is essentially their job was to maintain this planet and to fight off the Deviants to make sure that the Celestials can be born? So what's their purpose now?
Well, they're in shit now. Like as they pointed out, but no, their purpose now is like that was the thing. She, like from the beginning, it was like Gemma Chan's character Cersei was introduced to the humans and immediately fell in love with the humans, and that caused her to override the purpose she was created for and find her own purpose.
Nice.
And one by one, they all fought their own programming to overcome and become define their own purpose. And now their purpose is basically to find the other ones who were created for doing this as well and give them the same chance they had.
This is great. It is kind of Guardians, right? They're going to go round up the troops.
It's sort of Guardians. It's definitely going to get very Guardian-ish. You saw that after credit scene. Like, yeah.
I saw both of them, yeah. Please stick around for the after credit scene if you're listening to this, people. I was annoyed that I had to wait 10 minutes because there's so many fucking names.
Oh my god, the VFX,
the
visual effects crew went for 2 fucking IMAX screens. That's amazing. But like, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's great. That's really, really, really great. Okay, cool. Let's get back to the story a little bit here in the film. This is good stuff. So it's about global warming, but we essentially, what they do really well is the timelines. And I think that's like the best compliment in this is that it's set up with a little bit of, you have the scroll at the beginning, but then you also have some voiceover just a little bit, and it's like, okay, cool. So we're getting story. Yeah. There's a lot of story, and they're telling us.
It starts like 2 different versions of Blade Runner. Yeah.
That's right. But what's really cool is that what they'll do is they'll go back in time, and Loki did this pretty well too, where they go back to events that have happened. And I almost got worried. This movie, there were a lot of times where I was like, but then I just relaxed. So maybe the critics just didn't have that button. But like, they're like, oh, of course we're gonna go back to Babylon. Like, oh, we're gonna go to Hiroshima.
That's actually, I must say, that's the one scene I thought was badly placed. Yeah,
the Hiroshima one.
We should have been reintroduced to him, and then it should have happened afterwards, when he was agonizing about whether or not to join them.
Brian Tyree Henry's character.
So you got the why of why he was at. It's like, I don't know, and then cut to that scene. It was
But anyway, so we're going back and forth between present and past, and I think that actually worked really well, especially when things started getting revealed. I thought they handled that. Really well.
I thought it was great. Like when she drops that he just left, like Icarus just left Cersei, and I'm like, and
after
my first reaction, like, because
Richard Madden, by the way, that ass.
We've seen the wedding scene and everything, and I'm like, why did he leave? And I wanted to know.
Yeah.
And then I found out, and I was fucking horrified. And it was just like,
oh my god! But yeah, as soon as he says that, he has that line. I'm not who you think I am.
It's shit!
Oh, no.
Yeah.
God damn it, you asshole! Yeah, I thought that was great too, because I thought maybe it was just not boredom necessarily.
It really does. Like, no, it's like they threw the rug out, and the rug threw threads everywhere, and then they just went around and tied them all back together for the end.
And they did it well too, because like I
It was like a fucking SVU episode. Like, I have to know. I have to know how this ends.
You have to know how it ends. Well, and rounding the troops up is not always like the greatest movie when every single time you meet a person, you have to like catch up on where they've been. But for some reason, they really rode that line
again, because every single one of them had a slightly different motivation for leaving. So you weren't given the same story over and over again. Like, and some of them didn't come back, and some of them, like, why did like Kingo disappear for the entire final battle? He just walked the fuck out. Like,
oh yeah, where did he go?
He went, I kind of agree with him, but I'm not going to fight with you guys, so I'm extricating myself from the situation, and just walked. It was...
Wait, Kingo's Kumail, right?
He was like,
But he was still
not
there,
at the final battle, no. He had bowed out by that point, and he left.
Holy shit, I can't believe I don't even remember that. What the fuck, Kumail?
I don't know what he was doing. I was expecting some Han Solo fucking swoop in at the last minute with a quip. And
how did they miss
it didn't
that?
happen. And then, he just went, no, I'm not doing this, and walked.
Really interesting, really interesting. Yeah, anyway, for the most part, they pulled it up. There were some moments where it was like, okay, realism is being fucked with a little crazily. So, for instance, one is when the Deviant becomes Bill Skarsgård, so he talks for the first time. I think whose power did he take when it was Gilgamesh, right? He takes the and for some reason not only does he get the strong arms, but he also gets a brain, and he talks.
Well,
to
he was slowly getting that as he went. Yeah, he
was slowly getting there. Yeah, this is one of the Deviants, and then he goes away, and then so you have Icarus, who first of all we didn't know at this point that he was maybe working on the other team, but we have Icarus. Who's Richard Madden?
We're determined to throw Richard Madden
going after. Fucking Richard Madden. Now I know. I guess you could say now he was protecting Cersei, who he still loved, but he was, of course, King of the North, loved Cersei, of course. But anyway, he's going after Bill Skarsgård as the main deviant now, and they tell him to stop. They go, "Hey, Chris." No. And he goes, okay. And then they just casually go to sleep. Now, Dave, could you possibly go to sleep in a jungle knowing that there were like 4 deviants nearby? Could you possibly sleep that night? And they were all like,
that would depend on how many superpowers and beers I'd had. Yeah.
Beers? Beer. I didn't hear any of them go, oh, we're going to have to do rounds tonight. They literally like, let him go. We're going to be fine. It's all good. And it's like, so there were a couple of moments like that where I was like, okay. But on the whole, they always got it back because, again, Richard Madden really was just defending Cersei because he was just putting off what he thought was the inevitable. And everything was motivated.
Everything was motivated. And again, I think that's a level of detail that like a lot of Marvel fans aren't used to having in their films.
Can we talk about Kumail's character is kind of important because he brings in the only non-eternal.
Oh my god, that guy was what you want humanity to be. Yeah,
I thought so too, and I was worried because it opened. So Kumail, after the past, they're in Babylon and whatever, and then all of a sudden we're in present time. So in the present time stuff where they're rounding up the troops, it just opens with this music video with Kumail, which I would say probably didn't land as funny as they wanted it to. I nobody.
Oh no, that was the end of a Bollywood film. Yeah, that's how Bollywood ends. Dude. There's always a dance number.
No, I got it. I've seen a bunch of them, but like, It wasn't. I think they wanted it to be funnier than it probably was, but that's okay. And then Kumail has his friend, who's his producing partner, who believes in Kumail as he knows he's an Eternal, and then he comes in to be a documentary filmmaker. Which, first of all, based on the footage he was getting, probably going to be a pretty bad movie. So it's going to be bad. But he brings in the only
for criticizing his movie.
All right.
That man bought 80 fucking cameras.
About 80 cameras. I was worried that they were even though I trusted the creative team on this film, not the Marvel super film necessarily, but the creative team on this picture, plus cast, director, etc., to handle diverse scenarios well. And so this character was playing in tropes that would seem to be Western comedic versions of Indian, fare. But I thought this guy was really well grounded.
He was the heart of it.
Quick.
To be honest, like he was
exactly.
It was
we
literally
always had a pulse.
He was sat in front of him to go, "This is what you're fighting for. This is what you love about humanity."
Yeah.
And that guy was just, he pulled it off beautifully.
And when he thought it wasn't going to happen and the world was over, and he like expresses some gratitude at them for trying, it was like really.
I mean, I hope
really
we see that guy again. To be honest, I would love to see him in future Marvel stuff. And I
the
really
actor's
hope he
name.
is. Who is it?
The actor's name is Harish Patel. He was in Run Fat Boy Run, but he is from India, and he was Karun in this film. And he was really, 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 really great to kind of ground everybody.
He was one of my favorites, to be honest. Like, it was a noticeable performance. Like, because at some point you're like, this guy is lovely. Like,
he's lovely. What about Gilgamesh Thena? How'd you feel about that? I was really surprised when Gilgamesh was like, I'll keep an eye on her for hundreds of years.
I mean, no, I get that. And they'd already been there, 6,000 years by that point? So yeah, he had an attachment. He knew what she was. He knew what was possible, and he just took on that mission. And like his and for like this was like possibly his first American film, I think.
Well, Run Fat Boy Run is I guess British, right? Because it starts Simon Pegg,
but yeah, basically he's like his reaction when he's told that Salma Hayek's character is dead, and he literally just drops his pie on the ground, which they were not in Australia. That was not a meat pie. Just saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You're talking about. I just got fucking lost. I'm so sorry. You're right. Yes. That might be his first. That might be the actor who plays Gilgamesh, whose name I introduced at the beginning, which is Ma Dong-seok. He looks familiar. Disney. He must have been in.
No, he's been in some prominent other films, foreign films. So we have seen him before, but yeah, his reaction when he found out that one of them was dead, I was just like, oh man, like this again. That's another one that has a huge heart that I felt for a lot of these characters.
I felt for every single one of them too. Now we're just rallying the troops, but let's start winding this down because I feel like we're praising this movie and it's good. What are some big picture implications or other things?
Oh God, the big picture implications. I mean, this and Shang-Chi set up a lot of forces at play in the next phase. So you got multiverse, Celestials, magic, and that other end credit scene. Are we allowed to talk about that now?
We're really
deep in the spoilers. Okay,
here,
so the second end credit scene, which I think is the one that was leaked online before the movie even came out somehow, involves Kit Harington almost taking up the mantle of Black Knight, which cool. he and also coincidentally he gets his hands on Excalibur at one point and fights with the other sword and Excalibur, and they reference Excalibur in this film, but the voice at the end of that is the one that drove the internet nuts, because you hear this voice from off screen go, "Are you sure you're ready for that?" And the camera doesn't pan; he just looks, and the bastards don't show you who it is. And I was like, "Who the fuck is that?" And Chloe Zhao, like in an interview, confirmed that was Mahershala Ali's first voice as Blade. So you've got
that's awesome.
Black Knight, who has a blood curse, Blade, who has a blood curse. Sony's about to release Morbius, the living vampire, who has a blood curse. We're going down some dark fucking paths. Yeah.
We're headed.
So that's a third tier,
awesome.
like a third branch of where the MCU can go from where this is. So I mean,
why not?
That's the thing. There's something for everyone there. You like your scary movies? There you go. You got that. You like your sci-fi? There you go. You like your, oh my God, what the fuck did I just watch? Like multiverse stuff? Then yes, you've got that as well. So they've kind of gone phase 4, 3 tier. And it's a little bit exciting.
I think it's awesome. I guess I don't have much else to say other than, is it a good thing or a bad thing that they spoiled that Harry Styles is in the movie in the IMDb? Like, he's already
That wasn't. I don't think that was there till the movie came out.
Yeah, but I mean, how many people actually saw? Because I saw it on Thursday and then I looked it up afterwards, and he was.
Yeah, I still had to look up who the fuck Harry Styles was. So
maybe they're curious to get people in the theater.
Fact
maybe
that
they're
character
at that point.
turned up as well, and is possibly an
Eras,
Eternal. Like that's a little bit of a change of the mythology, because like he does touch on them, but like that's Thanos' brother. So,
as they say in the scene, Thanos' brother Eros.
Yes, because not all of the Titans are purple. I should point out.
Pretty funny. I just want to say one more thing. I'm not ageist, and it certainly has nothing to do with.
My finger's hovering on the button.
But so Lauren Ridloff, ageist in like I'm gonna say something good. So Lauren Ridloff, who plays the character Makari, as we had mentioned. So she's speaking in ASL. She's in Sound of Metal. She's also in The Walking Dead. She's 43 in real life. Did you see her running and doing like? She looks like she's 24, and she's like fucking Tom Brady of these films. I saw that. I was like, she's gonna be around for fucking ever. Because like Chris Evans and a lot of the other, they're like, I gotta grow old at some point. Like, let me grow up.
Yeah, that's not happening to her.
I'm tired of the fitness. I'm tired of the fitness. She's gonna be doing
Marvel movies for 50 more years. It's fine.
She's gonna be running circles around the MCU for sure. So shout out. That's all that I had. Any final thoughts? Chloe Zhao. Yeah, she's doing great. She's got a couple things headed up.
The last two films I've seen that she made were fantastic, and this was one of them. I was not disappointed at all. I mean, is it the best Marvel movie ever made? No. Thor Ragnarok is.
I love Ragnarok. I'm so glad you said that. Wait, is that really your favorite?
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so good. You saw the thing about the that's my friend from work line. Did you ever see that?
Well, I've seen the movie, but yeah.
There's a kid on set who was doing a Make-A-Wish Foundation.
I did see this, yeah.
And I guess Chris Hemsworth, like, he's been doing these movies for so long, like he just goes and talks to people on set. He knows that he's the lead and everybody, he's kind of in charge. So he's just not that kind of guy to be stuffy about it. So he talks to everybody. So he's like giving this kid a whole bunch of time to the point where the kid starts getting comfortable, and he says, "The Hulk's in this movie," and he's like, "Yeah, but you can't tell anybody." I hope I'm telling this right because
so far.
Anyway, the kid says, "You should say that. It's your friend from work." And Chris Hemsworth goes, "That's fucking awesome," and asks Taika, who's the director, and they said,
Taika
let's do it.
No,
so the whole line, that line where he sees the Hulk and he starts laughing and he goes like, "Buddy," and he goes, "That's my friend from work." That line was actually spoon-fed to him by a Make-A-Wish.
Good on that kid.
Person. Yeah, a kid that was there for Make-A-Wish.
That's
How
awesome.
fucking awesome is that? So anyway, I love Thor Ragnarok. I think it's fun. Okay, cool. So, people, go see Eternals. It'll be on Disney Plus soon, but go see it in the theaters as always.
I will tell you, like the scene, the two scenes where they show Aramesh in IMAX. Holy fuck! Like, it's huge, and like Gemma Chan is like this tiny little pixel in the middle of the screen, and then the end scene where it turns up at. Like, it basically, like, they fucked with it and thwarted its plan, and it turns up, and, like, it's a shot from Earth to the sky, and you can see it in space. And that, in IMAX...
Yeah, it's like if the Iron Giant was an iceberg.
In IMAX, that is fucking terrifying, because God knows that's one of my fears. Like, some fucking celestial being is going to turn up, you can see from space and just hit the planet, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's coming at you. Like... Yeah.
Ever since I saw Independence Day, my fear has been a celestial being coming out of the fucking sky. Also, shout out to Barry Keoghan, who was one of the leads in Dunkirk and Killing of a Sacred Deer, who is in this film. Anyway, also, last thing, big win for Transcendental Meditation, which is probably why you got your Last Jedi thing. What is with Cersei that she's like, "Oh, I'm trying to reach out to," what the fuck's that guy's name? I wanted to say
it's
Arrakis.
Not Arrakis, that was Dune.
I'll buzz myself. That's fine. What did you say? Aramesh? I don't know, I saw this movie like 4 days ago, and I drank the judge. so they're like, don't try to talk to him, just listen. And so she goes and meditates, and now all of a sudden she's like doing interplanetary, like it's like right out of The Last Jedi. So transcendental meditation, people, it's the answer to all of your film scripts. If you can't make your film script work out,
just don't do it too much or you fade out of existence. Yeah.
That's right. Until all of a sudden you're dead and nobody really knows how you died. Okay, people, let's move on into our next segment. Thank you, Dave. Wonderful conversation. Our Marvel expert, as always. Let's head into what you've been watching.
Oh, God, I've got a list.
Dave.
Yeah.
You have a list?
I've been watching the most recent season of Lost in Space because the new one drops any day now.
Yeah.
Really enjoying that. I finally have got to the second to last episode of Haunting of Hill House because I keep having to stop it and wait for fucking daylight. It's terrifying. What the fuck?
That's what I wanted to watch it on Halloween so bad, but my significant other.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm on Chloe's side right now. I got sick of waiting for it to come out on streaming, so I bought Free Guy, and finally
you saw that movie. You went on 2 podcasts about it.
I love it. It's amazing. So I bought it and I showed my wife, and she was interested for about the first hour and a half, and so I proved my point. Yeah,
for Therese.
And I started watching Nosferatu on Shudder, the Joe Hill series. And so far I haven't been able to make it through the first episode. The cinematography, the cinematography.
Damn it! I keep buzzing myself.
Absolutely fucking woeful. Yeah,
that's.
I hope it gets better. I'm going to keep going with it to give it a chance because I'm not going to write it off on a pilot episode.
Yeah, Joe Hill though doing a series.
He does a lot of it's based on his graphic novel.
Yeah. Right. Because as you were talking about that last week. Okay, cool. So it's funny that you mentioned cinematography because last week I talked about seeing Captain Fantastic, which opened with a shot at the trees from the ground at the sun with a lens flare. And I've seen all the memes about like, how do I open my independent film? And it's like, shoot at the sky and get the trees in there and have a lens flare.
It's either that or the freeze, and you're probably wondering how I got here.
That's another meme. Yeah, exactly. So I thought about that. This was one of the only times recently that I've been like, cinematography, interesting choice. I watched The Matrix this week. That's the big one for me. And I don't know why. Well, I do now because I teased it, but I was like, why am I drawn to this fucking movie right now? And it was like, I kind of forgot.
Well, spoiler alert, we might be talking about that soon. So, yeah.
We should. It's on HBO Max. We just got to get John to sack up and watch it. And so we'll come back to it because I do actually think there is some funny stuff to mine about this film now. It's brilliant. Of course, it's a 10 out of 10 movie, but there is some stuff that's really fucking funny. So I'll save it for when we do our Marvel episode.
Yeah, we just did that.
Episode. Jesus Christ. Yeah, buzz me. All right. Well, Dave, thank you for a good conversation. Thank you everybody for listening, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Excellent sign off, man.
What kind of beers am I drinking? What the fuck? Damn it. Ugh.